Continuing our conversation about the ancient Chinese philosopher sage, elder wise man, known as Confucius or Confucius, but I will just say Confucius. So there's a very interesting part that I think is relevant today, especially today in a materialistic world, where he is speaking to another person. So, well, that's debatable, but here we go. 526. Yan Hui and Zilu were in attendance. The master said, "How about telling me your private wishes?" Zilu said, "I wish I could share my carriages, horses, clothes, and furs with my friends without being upset when they damage them." Yan Hui said, "I wish I would never boast of my good qualities or call attention to my good deeds." Zilu said, "May we ask what are master's private wishes?" The master said, "I wish the old may enjoy peace, friends may enjoy trust, and the young may enjoy affection." What caught my eye most significantly about this particular verse was that the old may enjoy peace, friends may enjoy trust, and the young may enjoy affection. So how I interpreted that analytically, extrapolation wise, was these are elements that are necessary to happiness and healthiness of mind. So the old, enjoying peace. Well, when you're old, to live in a state of chaos is very dangerous because you yourself are no longer able bodied to defend yourself. You're at the mercy of the young rambunctious. So peace allows an old person to relax, have safety, tranquility, and harmony. And that's an element that is lost for many, many, many people around the world. And remember, Confucius is he's visiting many leaders, and he's trying to get his philosophies inside the ears of the right people, right? And there was a lot of wars at this time. I mean, when has there not been war? But he's doing what he can to help bring about harmony and stability in the dynasties that exist at the time, specifically the Zhou, they called their dynasty that he was living in. So then he goes on to say, friends may enjoy trust. Now, a key element of friendship is to be able to trust that person, right? If we look at this and extrapolate, what is a friend if you can't trust them? What is a friend who isn't trustworthy? Trust, what does that mean? Well, you trust them not to take your things, you trust them not to tell your secrets, you trust them to keep their word, you trust them in the sense that they also will trust you, right? There's an exchange there of honor and duty. You have to maintain trust, and trust is valuable. And if you don't have trust with your friends, are they really your friends? And so we go on when he says, "May the young may enjoy affection." Now, this is even more interesting because Confucius himself lost his parents, and by the time he was 20, he was parentless. So this might be a bit of him coming through, but it is also true. Plenty of studies have shown that children need affection. They need that. The more violence they witness, the more violence that they see, the less stable their mind becomes. They kind of separate, and some scientists have speculated that it causes elements of PTSD, causes elements of schizophrenia. More metaphysical conscious community types have said that it actually causes multiple personalities, which ties into schizophrenia, but that it causes alter egos and alienation from oneself. I mean, there's a whole field of neurology, but also the conscious community and the new age is really expanding on these ideas of affection and how important it is. And so this ancient text still touches on things that are relevant today. Another one that I liked was 618. The master said, "When nature prevails over culture, you get a savage. When culture prevails over nature, you get a pedant. When nature and culture are in balance, you get a gentleman." This, when nature prevails over culture, that kind of reminded me of Thomas Hobbes' State of Nature, and how Hobbes views that there necessarily needs to be a social contract with the government to maintain peace and order, because without the state, anarchy will ensue, and when anarchy ensues, it's survival of the fittest. And your coconuts, I want them, give me your coconuts, so I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get your coconuts. And so a savage, remember, this is also being translated, so different translators will use different words. So you could use savage, barbarian, you could use evil person, I guess, or just cutthroat, right? So don't get too hung up about particular words, because in the original Chinese language it would have been different, but translators do their best. But when it says also here, culture prevails over nature, you get a pedant. So that could be somebody who's just very pompous, somebody who's very flamboyantly materialistic. I like that. When I think of that, I think of like a fat cat, like somebody in a palace who's just overly extravagant and is just so separated from nature that they no longer live in the same reality. They no longer care about nature and reality. They just want to have their cake and eat it too, right? They want to have, well, not their cake and eat it too. What would be a better example? They are in a blanket of luxury that blinds them. Okay? They become softer because they're so, privileged in their luxury. That's how I take it. You could take it another way. And it says, when nature and culture are in balance, you get a gentleman. I like that because it kind of shows how I would take that in the modern day as a reader. Is a child can know how to go to the grocery store, use a coupon, but a child could also know how to go fishing, right? There's the natural primal side, but then there's also the modern culture side. You could say a child could know how to code a computer, but he could also know how to grow mushrooms. Let's put it that way. Or somebody in the culture could know how to make a solar panel, but they could also know how to make a fire from scratch. Or somebody could know how to make a music track, but they could also know how to properly skin down a rabbit or understand cloud formation, the seasons, elements such as that. So a gentleman is essentially in balance, well-cultured, but in tune with nature. That's how I would interpret that. He continues further, another verse that I like, at 6:20. The master said, "To know something is not as good as loving it. To love something is not as good as rejoicing in it." So I took that to mean as in, when the perfect example is with the food industry. Somebody could say to me, I know how to, let's say, I know how to make this great salsa, okay? I know the recipe, I did it. I'm just gonna bust it out, whatever. I gotta do 4 jars, you got it. But they're not gonna do as good of a job, right? They know how to do it, but it's not the same, right? So let's say you have an older grandma, let's say like a grandma from Louisiana, right? And she has this recipe that has been passed down, and she has a lot of pride in what she does. She's got this excellent Creole recipe or jambalaya recipe, and she's putting so much effort into making it, and that helps the food taste better. It gives the food more flavor. So that transfers to me as a modern reader for the trade and crafts. Like, I don't know, how else could I put it? So my other classmates said things like music. When you enjoy music, you will make beautiful music. When you enjoy art, you will create beautiful art. But art is subjective, so food is less subjective than art. So that's why I chose to give my interpretation through a food example, because when you've had some real soul food, when you've had something that was prepared with love and they love what they do, it really shows. So Not just looking at someone like, do you know how to do the job, or do you like doing it? And then liking it is still not enough. You need to love it, and loving it is could. And for Confucius, you need to go more than that. You need to rejoice, like hallelujah. Like you need to be so happy at the opportunity. Uh, what do we have in our lives that we rejoice in doing, and should we do more of it? I mean, remember, Confucius is trying to get us to harmonize ourselves. And by extension, when we harmonize ourselves, our culture will be harmonized as well. So, those are some passages that I liked. I'll share more with you later, but let me know what you think about some of the things we discussed.